I'm Katie Thompson. I'm the Vice President of Program and Property for Girl Scouts Western Pennsylvania. Let's talk safety. You need to look around your area to make sure that there's nothing flammable about where you're going to build your fire. And before we get started, let's make sure that you have your parents' permission and that you have adult supervision. Okay, next thing we want to make sure is that you have a way to put the fire out. Since I'm not at one of our camps right now, I don't have my fire bucket. However, I do have a mop bucket. So I went and got my mop bucket, filled it up with water, and I'm ready to go. Alright, next thing I want to do is make sure that I don't have anything on myself that's going to catch on fire. So I pulled my hair back in a ponytail, I put on a short sleeve shirt, and I don't have any strings hanging down from me. I think we're good to go. So, there's some other really cool things that you can cook over the fire if you get better at your skills. But the first thing we need to pay attention to is how is our fire doing? So, our fire looks like it's kind of about to die down. And you can tell by the color of the sticks if you're using wooden fire. They all start to turn this gray color right here. That means that the sticks are almost burnt through. So we want to add some more before we lose our flame. If we were using charcoal, then the charcoal would be a white color and they would stay white for quite a while. I prefer to cook over a fire using charcoal because charcoal has a steadier temperature and stays at that temperature for longer, and you can control how hot you cook your food by how many pieces of charcoal you put on your fire. But we're using sticks, so what we're going to do is just add a few more sticks, maybe blow on it a little bit to get the flame going again. And then we're going to cook our next piece of food, which is my second favorite thing to cook over a fire. I'm going to scoot a little closer so I can blow on it. You have to be careful when you blow on it after it's going because you can blow either smoke towards somebody or a whole bunch of ashes up in the air. You have to watch where the ashes go. You also want to make sure that when you're blowing on the fire that you look away to breathe in oxygen before you blow on there, or you might end up inhaling some smoke. But, see? A little bit of oxygen on the fire, get a flame going again. Pretty cool. Alright. I'm going to put this big piece on there, but it might be too big. That's not too big. It's only too big if it goes outside of your fire pit. But that one's still in the fire pit, so we're okay. So the next thing we want to do is learn how to make what's called a doughboy. So doughboys have been around for a long time. My mom taught me how to make them when I was a Girl Scout, when I was a junior. And they're pretty delicious. I have to say it has to be my favorite breakfast for cooking over a fire. It's better when you make a doughboy if you have a thicker stick, but we're using what we have because we're at the house, right? So what I did, since I couldn't go to the store and buy canned biscuits really work the best. I decided to make some homemade biscuits, and just for fun, I had a Girl Scout biscuit cutter, so I made Girl Scout trefoil shaped biscuits that we're going to use. So what you want to do is you want to take two biscuits and you're going to squish them together, just like this. And then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to squish them down over this stick and try to get it to stay on the stick. And we're going to cook them over the fire. The thing that you want to remember about this is a little different than the marshmallows. You know, I said you could burn marshmallows and they taste good. If you burn a biscuit, you know what it tastes like? Tastes like a burnt biscuit. Not good. So, when you're putting this on there, two things to think about. One, make it thin, and two, make sure there's no holes, because afterwards you're going to end up putting some butter or cinnamon sugar or jelly or anything that you like to put on your biscuit. Honey, put any of that stuff in here. You can even put sausage. So it's going to be really important to make sure that you're not putting this in the flame. So here we go. We're going to see if we can find a good spot to rest the stick close to the fire. These take a little bit longer, a little more patience, but they are so worth it. And then I also recommend cooking these over charcoal as well. You're going to continuously check on it to make sure that it doesn't get darker than a golden brown. This would be a good time for you to get together with your troop and sing songs while you wait for your doughboy. Marshmallows cook in about a minute or 2 minutes depending on your fire. Doughboys cook in about 5 minutes. But you can see what I've got going on here. We've got some butter ready. We have some, my favorite is cinnamon sugar put inside. Sometimes we bring sausages with us. So you can see how it's getting like that golden brown. That's good. If it cooks too fast on the outside, then it'll be a little doughy on the inside. But biscuits are not made with eggs, so it's not going to make you sick if there's a little bit of dough on the inside. The key to making doughboys really tasty is that you constantly turn it to make sure one side doesn't get too dark. See, we built such a good fire that our doughboy is cooking pretty well. Remember, it's really important that you don't burn it. Anybody ever had a burnt biscuit before? It's not tasty. Now, if you burn it and you catch it really quickly, you can always scrape off the burnt part and then cook it a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. This is looking pretty good. I think that my doughboy is done. I don't think I want it to get any darker than that, right? So, what we're going to do, it's going to be really hot. So I'm going to take a piece of foil and use it to grab the bottom of this, and we're going to twist it off. You have to be really careful because it's going to be hot. So that came off really easily. That's a good sign. Then you should have a hole towards the top, and what you want to make sure you do, there it is to get some butter while it's still hot. You put the butter down inside. My philosophy is you can't have too much butter, but to each their own, right? So we're going to put some butter down in there. We're going to make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom, and it'll melt because it's hot. See, there's the inside of it right there. And then we're going to take some cinnamon sugar. And we're going to make sure we get some good cinnamon sugar in there. And then again, most important part, cooking one of these things, is taking a bite, making sure to see how good you did. So, that's pretty tasty. time to put the fire out. So, a couple things to think about. One, it's very important that you don't pour the whole bucket of water onto the fire at one time. If you do a whole sluice of water, it's going to send sparks and ashes up everywhere. So what I like to do is do a little bit of water at a time. See how it sends the ashes and the smoke up, so you don't want to do too much at one time. Watch the ashes. And the way you know that if your fire is completely out is, I like to say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And a Girl Scout always leaves a place cleaner than they found it, and safer than they found it. So you never want to leave your campsite or your home without putting out the fire first. So, the good thing about building a fire inside of a fire pit or a fireplace is that the fire itself is contained and it can't spread anywhere. So if you can see, we've done a pretty good job. We have a puddle of water down there. It's still going to be hot, but our fire is out, and that's it. So look up your adventure camping badges. One of the steps on there is to build a fire, and we've just done it. So congratulations and good luck on your fire building.